Welcome everybody. Thanks for coming to check out this session. It's a 30-minute session, so like I said, I'm going to try to leave some time at the end for some questions. There's a mic on both sides, so happy to field questions. And then you can also come see me after the show as well, or downstairs at the expo booth. So today, one of the things I wanted to talk about was, top 5 things to consider when moving development to the cloud. So there's kind of a lot of words in that sentence. Want to kind of dive into some of that and get people's perspectives as well in the Q&A session on what you guys are seeing in your studios. But before I do that, I want to take a quick survey because I'm just seeing some faces in the room. How many people are on the development side in a studio? Okay, so quite a bit. And on the art side exclusively? Excellent, excellent. It's pretty normal. How many of you guys at work use applications like Slack for collaboration or project management tools like Trello, Jira, et cetera? Yeah, pretty much everybody. Do you guys or know of or hear about a term called version control? Is that something that, obviously we're here to talk a little bit about that, but is version control like a topic within the teams? I know there's a lot of devs in the room, so obviously hearing that. Does anybody know if they're running on-premise or servers in their building or up in the cloud? Yeah, okay. So, the constituency of the room is pretty common. Like I said, it's a lot of developers here. I think we'll kind of dig into it. The art side of the pipeline, version control isn't something that's typically native to that discussion. So I think it's kind of interesting. And we'll kind of dive into a little bit of why and something that may make sense for those going back to their teams. They can talk to the art side of the folks. So quick overview. So I'm the Chief Technology Officer at Assembla. We're actually based out of San Antonio, so about an hour south of here. Avid gamer, like I said, I'm chewing on Destiny 2 right now. Very little time in between a lot of stuff, but when I do get a chance, I'm trying to plow through that. It's a super fun game. And just, again, a little background. My background is cybersecurity and enterprise software development, but as a side and a hobby, always been up to date with Unity and UE as they've evolved. And especially at Assembla and where things are going, I think if you're in the gaming industry, it's a pretty exciting time. You've got kind of this intersection of games and digital entertainment kind of fusing. I'd say in 5 years, 10 years, everything will be some form of a game, whether it's content for training, interactives. It's not just for recreational use. So, Unity, again, looking at a platform, you guys are Unity developers, platform folks. It's a fantastic platform that enables world-class experiences to be built. It's got incredible value, incredible depth in technology. A lot of the recent versions they've been releasing around the cinematic side is pretty exciting, doing the real-time cinematography, et cetera. It's just a world-class platform. Being kind of a developer on it is super exciting. And next to the folks in the room, you guys in the room, whether it's overtly a discussion, the source code or the assets that you guys built are probably the most important thing beyond the team at a studio. So, without the bricks that were made to build your games and your experiences, what is a studio, right? You've got the team, you've got the stuff you produce, and then you've got all the surrounding, et cetera, stuff. So, again, source code is a very important piece of that, and it's really important to really double down and think about, at least we believe, source code as more than just like a Dropbox. There's a lot of things that come with having artists and devs work together and be able to like throw content, whether it's pre-rendered or post-rendered kind of stuff, through the pipeline in a really efficient manner, versus the artists have everything in a Dropbox or someplace. They shuttle it back and forth. I talked to a lot of gaming studios. They're still doing really basic content sharing over email. Believe it or not, they're sending large files and they're sending links to a lot of publishers over things like email. So again, it's not uncommon to see that, but I think a lot of it has to do with how version control sits for game studios specifically, the whole on-premise version versus the cloud. The cloud's a lot easier to do certain things. On-premise is a little tougher to work with IT, the stack, and all that flex. So again, we'll be diving a little bit into that. Another thing that's happening, which you may feel on the team, we see it as a vendor in the space supporting companies like yourselves, is there's a lot of pressure to move to the cloud. There's budget, do more with less. Publishers are demanding, supply chains that may not be as easily supported as you're able to do over, the classic kind of IT infrastructure. So there's just a lot of movement around getting a lot of stuff done fast. It's kind of becomes a competitive advantage if you can show a publisher that you're able to meet certain deadlines with certain quality controls, and you've got teams all over the place. So it lets producers and kind of people on the business side look at the delivery of the game in a more using it as a competitive advantage. So it's real, and I like this picture. You guys play this game, Doom. Obviously, it's kind of like surrounded from all sides. A couple studios we talked to that when they saw this picture, it really resonated with their internal emotional state. So we kept it in terms of the presentation. And there's also, like I said, a lot of studio applications you guys are using, to name some a few. They're integrated or integrating with cloud services. They have to. Cloud has kind of won. In a lot of ways, the question is, what is your organization doing to get there in the right way, at the right speed, at the right cost? But it's no doubt the trajectory. And that kind of leaves version control, which has traditionally been an on-premise kind of discussion for digital entertainment game studios, and there's reasons for that. Kind of behind. It's almost left as as its own little silo. Files are too big, download speeds are too slow. You got to keep it on premise, et cetera. So a lot of that stuff is changing, and it's really around, when you look at the vendor tools in the community that's supporting that, it's really important to ask the vendors, what's their take on the cloud. So it's beyond just hosting it on Amazon or Azure or Google. What are these providers offering you to move from on-premise to the cloud? And so, I like this quote from Accenture. They did a great report for gaming about a year and a half ago. And just like software is moving to the cloud, they're using data, they're using metrics to really hone in on what customers want and need. Same thing is happening with gaming studios. So if you can release something incrementally earlier to test the waters on what's going to be a popular feature or popular character, popular level, it makes it that much more likely that you're going to launch a good product at the end. So that data aspect, the collection of it, is becoming super important. And Unity actually has a lot of cool analytics tools, and they're building a lot of stuff on the roadmap around giving you guys data into what the players are doing, what the users are doing. Some pretty exciting stuff. I'm really impressed with their roadmap. So, the question I pose, or we pose at Assembla, for example, is that, what does it take? What would it take to move your 5 terabyte repo out of your comms room, out of your closet, to the cloud? What if you could do it, but still meet a lot of those IT demands around, well, it's just commits are too big, characters are structured such a way that it's like 10 gigs at a time. What's the story around the publishers, and they've got a whole bunch of audit requirements. So you have to give a report or a checkbox list that says, hey, we have control of the data. It's okay, or our supply chain has control of the data. So, these are questions that are super important to pose when considering the move. But the solutions do exist. Like I said, there's a community of vendors out there that provide cloud solutions for version control. So it's a compelling time. And then looking at, just a little bit peeling the onion back, if you're looking for subversion in the cloud, perforce, if you don't want to have an IT team, or you're starting a studio, excuse me, and you don't want to hire a dedicated IT team, you want to focus on the games, you look at managed services, right? Beyond a website that says you have managed services, what's the approach? What's the team like? What are they doing to offer the service itself, so that, when there's issues or questions, they got your back. Uptime, again, we'll talk about that in a minute quickly. It's a super important piece of the pipeline. I mean, Friday, crunch time, you're going to deliver a build to a publisher, or you've got a client coming in for a demo. It's got to be up, and if it's not up, it has to be up within minutes. So what's the plan there? How are these vendors out there? Like, what's their story around disaster recovery, business continuity? Again, important questions to ask. You may not be part of the decision process. Maybe you are, but still good things to ask. Like, if you're developing a deliverable or a project or a scene, and you can't commit your code or your level because the infrastructure's down, that's a big problem because you've got a deadline, et cetera. So, it's good to ask these kind of questions. How is the IT team internally handling it? How is the cloud service company doing it? Depending on which stage you're at. So, what do studios need from version control? And I'll run through these real quick, but the 3 tenets, we talk to studios all the time, and it kind of boils down to 3 things. Service always has to be up. So what's the provider doing to look at, availability? 3 nines, 4 nines, geographic distribution, et cetera. Data security. You've been reading recent news about data hacking and breaches, et cetera. That's kind of it's always been a trend out there. It's obviously had a certain uptick, but more specifically around gaming studios, this whole concept of first view. So, when you're under embargo with a publisher, to not talk about the technology, the projects, or the assets that you're working on for, 16, 18 months, and you've got supply chains going across the globe, it's super important to know, like, hey, where's the data going? Who's got access to it? And more importantly, when time comes, you can control access. So you can shut down connectivity or certain parts of the organization when there is a potential issue, right? So being able to have that control is an important question to pose. And then lastly, quickly, collaboration. So everyone raise their hands for using the internet tools and the latest cloud services. That's where all the innovation's happening. All the cool new tools are happening there. In a lot of ways, what I've seen is that if IT can't get the tool that they need, they end up spinning up their own systems. So this whole concept of shadow IT, you've got teams within teams. So there's an IT team, and then every dev team has their own IT team inside of it. And nobody may not know about it, but they're doing it because they need tools quicker than the organization can approve them. So they go to the things like the cloud to get a task board, a version control, repo, or other kinds of elements. And in a lot of ways, like I said, that's because of the demand on the timelines and the projects. People are just trying to move quicker. So the key is, with the cloud, you're able to solve a lot of those challenges because you can have things on demand. You don't necessarily have to have a 6-month approval cycle to get a new tool, again, which is why they're so popular. Again, last slide showing a space station view. The development stack that you guys have and will continue to have, it's going to need to be flexible. The company's in charge, not the vendor. So you want to look for a list of integrations and a list of roadmap items, whether it's Trello, AWS, Slack's a really popular chat tool. I think 9 out of 10 studios that we talk to at least use Slack or are planning to use Slack. Jira, project management, et cetera. So again, just important to look not at the quantity of them, but the functionality. So, we can have thousands of integrations, but what are they offering that's going to help get things done faster, better quality, more effectively? And then, source control is a pretty complicated subject. Artists don't like source control. It scares them. It's because the user experience is really rough. It's not a very friendly topic. I mean, Dropbox is easy, drop a file in, do some things, but when it comes to version control, you got a lot of operations there. It's a very technically oriented kind of experience. So, if you're going to the cloud or on the cloud, being able to have, instant access to answers, in-app chat that says, hey, how do I do a pull request? Or how do I lock files? Like my artist wants to, lock down a certain directory. Those kind of quick, easy queries you can get on Google, obviously. But being able to just kind of have somebody on the other side that's an expert with like a knowledge base, super important. So quickly, here's one of our clients, Romero Games. You guys may know John Romero. So he unfortunately couldn't be here. I think he's speaking probably right now in Sweden or something like that. He's at another conference. But, they have a great little studio in Galway, Ireland. They live on 3 apps: Slack, Google Docs, and version control in the cloud. Then they run multiple projects. They're working on some secret new projects. But, those 3, they're able to run pretty sized teams, and they're able to be real nimble, attract great publishers, great talent, great partners. And then another one, you guys may know if you're from Austin, Airship Syndicate. They just launched their game Battle Chasers on the 3rd. Recommend you to check it out as a Kickstarter campaign. It's kind of a fusion of Diablo meets like Final Fantasy, kind of the turn-based JRPG. Super cool. Like I said, we've got some info on them at our booth down in the expo. But they have their project is massive. They've got huge files and huge characters, and they've had a great time evaluating. Behind him is their whole studio. He's the main IT guy. He has no time to manage their version control. So again, they've gone through that transition where they're going to put all their money into artists and developers and not particularly build out a huge IT team. And like I said, so I recommend you check them out. The game is super good. It's getting really good reviews, and it's a whole lot of fun to play. So anyways, That's, yeah, puts me at 20 minutes. So, we're here on the expo floor. You guys can come up after the session too if you want some more questions answered. Definitely come check us out, assembla.com/unity, or just hit me directly. If you're just wondering about like what is version control, a lot of people I talk to at the expo floor, they're walking in and they don't even know what version control is. So it's various levels of what from there all the way to, hey, how do you do something specific in Perforce or Subversion or other providers? So more than happy to answer those. And that's it. So anybody got any exciting questions? We got like 8 minutes or something like that. Quiet crowd, quiet crowd. Okay. How's the keynote? Everybody enjoy the keynote last night? There's a party at, I think, what is it, 6:30? Tonight, the Unity's having a party? Yeah. Or 7:30, I think, right? Yeah, some big party going on. It's going to be cool. It's going to be fun. Yeah, go ahead, man.
Just one tool I want to mention here that we started using to connect our design and development teams. So our design team doesn't really like using Unity. They're more just used to using Illustrator and Sketch and all that.
Yep.
And one tool we started using for Unity recently is Zeppelin. So it's a really cool online tool.
Mm-hmm.
So what it does is the designers, they make their UI, their whatever they're making,
Mm-hmm.
designer, wherever they're making it, they upload it to Zeppelin, and then we as developers get all the layouts laid out, all the screens, everything we have to make. So this is more of a UI thing.
Mm-hmm.
And a cool feature it does is exporting. So it exports in whatever format you want, in whatever resolution you want. So it's
Nice.
a really cool integration. It becomes more like it's better when you're using it for like Android or iOS native development, but even for Unity, it's super useful if you're making like for a specific resolution.
Yeah, for screen sizes and yeah.
It's a really good tool. So
No, that's cool.
everyone checks it out. Zeppelin.
Zeppelin, yeah.
ZEPLIN.
And that's the thing. There's so many. All the new stuff is happening in services like that. They're solving all these pain points, and it's so easy to set up. And they're usually really easy and nice to use, right? You don't need you can own the product and have your whole team use it. You don't need like an IT team and an infrastructure. I mean, that's the way all software companies and every company is evolving to, really, is that, there's like IT, decentralized IT because of cloud. So it's, like that tool. I haven't actually heard of that tool. It starts with a Z? Yeah. No, that's cool. Yeah.
Really, usually we are more of a like native Android, iOS software development company, and usually what we did was the artists, they just sent us PSD files, and we had like
Right, the comps, yeah.
like the one that's free, and
Yep.
just like cutting everything out, and it was such a pain. And Zeppelin, let's say for Android, it'll export
Already.
5 different resolutions.
Nice.
That's what you need for Android.
Yeah.
And it's made our whole process so much better and so much simplified.
Yeah.
It's hard to describe.
So is that the artists dump all their final assets into that?
Yeah,
Yeah.
they just make the designs.
And that's
We
it,
press
just,
one button and then we get it.
That's nice.
You have comments, everything.
Yeah.
Like we want.
No, that's cool.
Super useful.
That's a big pain point. I mean, that artists have like thousands of folders on their Macs with like version 59 of everything, and then trying to get that having it just quickly accessible is cool. That's awesome. It's great. Anybody else? Got anything? Okay. Time is it. Thanks, everyone. Appreciate it. Enjoy the rest of the show. Look for a Pikachu on the expo floor. It's our friend Nick at Assembla. He's got swag and probably candy and things, so look for him.
Thank you.
Thanks.